Welcome to the discussion.
What up, everybody? Welcome back to Discussion Lounge, another episode with me and Gio. We are actually going to be checking out some of these videos that I've been seeing online of, where they get people of opposing views and they kind of make a statement and then they see who aligns with what view and for what reason. Some of them have been really cool. Some of them are a little weird. But I came across this really cool one that's actually, it's a liberal teens versus conservative parents. This is really cool because it's something probably we could a lot of us could relate to. Like growing up with parents who maybe have conservative views and just kind of like not fully informed and form opinions that are a little bit out there, right, compared to what we're used to now. Gio, have you like checked out any of these videos before?
I saw bits and pieces of this video,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't seen this whole thing. No.
Okay. And would you say that your parents were conservative when you were growing up?
I think they were definitely apolitical at first. Maybe conservative. Definitely, but they definitely turned more to the left as they got older. Especially
Mm-hmm.
with my dad, joined a union and became a union organizer. But I think at first, when he was like, in his 20s, he was more apolitical.
More
As well.
apolitical. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's kind of how it is, right? Either they're like not involved, or like if they are, they kind of have just. Well, I mean, from the places that they come from, third world countries, they're not really used to having like liberal ideas, right? Like, or they
Right.
they do, but they don't fucking like. Well, the people do, but their government definitely doesn't, right?
Yeah. All they really consider is like gotta work, gotta make money, to
Right.
survive. And so I think that leads to like conservative ideas in that you're in it for yourself. But I guess over time you start to realize that you're like part of a bigger system.
Right. All right. So yeah, let's get into this. I think it'll be interesting, and maybe we'll learn something. Here we go.
Sources and show you their biases. The participants of this episode agreed to take the quiz and share their results. We encourage you to do the same.
Step forward if you agree with the prompt. Cancel culture is a good thing.
Ooh, off the bat with the cancel culture questions, huh?
We have the freedom to say what you want, but everyone else has the freedom to respond and cancel you if you say something that is racist, homophobic, transphobic, etc. Cancel culture is definitely good in the means of deplatforming people who are spreading very hateful messages.
What is your opinion on Trump being cancelled on Twitter?
When you go onto Twitter, whatever, you check I accept the, guidelines, the community guidelines, I agree to follow them, and he didn't follow them, so Twitter has the right to take him off the app.
Facts.
People that might make the counter argument that Twitter is biased and will only cancel right-wing politicians, that's not true at all. Twitter and other forms of social media have canceled left-wing activists. There is an equal balance on both sides.
You brought up canceling him off Twitter.
Before this guy talks, because I pretty much know what he's gonna say just by looking at him. It's funny because the right is like all about cancel culture, right? Like they love doing that shit.
They make a big deal out of it, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean when that remember when I forgot what was it? Was it Janine Garofalo, the comedian, who like had pictures on a magazine of her like holding like a prop chopped head of Donald Trump or whatever? It was like a pretty extreme picture. But then they were like, "Oh my God! Like, how can she do that? Like, she should be canceled off, the internet and everything, and she shouldn't have a show and all this stuff." Like, they do it too, Like, that's a pretty extreme like example, just because that image was kind of fucked up. But hey, man, it was just a picture, right?
Yeah. I guess my opinion on canceling people, usually it means having the society turn against that person for saying certain things that are out of that and are offensive or are dangerous, or are considered dangerous. If it's that, I think that it's like if they're in favor, they're usually like right wingers are usually in favor of the free market, right? And have it let it be, let the market be, let the market decide what is a good product and what's a bad product. Well, if they wanted to, then they should be. I think that they should be consistent about how they apply that theory to ideas too.
Yeah, like the social market right now is that you can't say the shit that you want to say, right?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't sell, amongst the population. So the market has decided that that's a bad idea, and you shouldn't, having those bad ideas and talking about them like doesn't go over well with people, and so then that's the market has decided.
Right, exactly. I agree 100%.
Sorry, I disagree. When the Taliban can use our social media, but an ex-president can't, there is something wrong with that.
Did the Taliban violate community guidelines?
It doesn't matter.
I mean, I think it matters to Twitter what their community guidelines are. That's why they banned Trump, because Trump violated community guidelines. That's what every platform has, whether it be TikTok, YouTube, Instagram.
The Taliban stones people because they're gay.
If they've done that and they've posted videos of stoning gay people, I agree, they should be removed, and that is fundamentally wrong. No,
Except
it's not.
the problem is they're smart enough to not do that.
Well, then why wasn't Trump
the
smart enough to
president
not do
wasn't
that?
smart enough to not do that, I guess.
If I'm an American and I have to vote between this person, I need equal access to both of them to decide what's right. Bro, you could be a Klansman, you could say you hate black people. That's not my job to police your language. I can't expect everybody to love me and think the way I think. All y'all think different. I mean, that's totally dope. But the fact that you want somebody removed because they think differently, that could be you one day.
Do you think freedom of speech is something that still exists in America?
We do have aspects of freedom of speech. Like, you can't go into a movie theater and yell fire. So obviously there are limits of freedom of speech.
But they're picking and choosing who they're silencing and who they're letting talk.
If people react negatively to what you say, it goes both ways. You can't just say that, oh, they
100%.
can't. Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
So, what do you think about that?
They brought up a different point than what we were making earlier about like the free market of ideas and the culture deciding what's right or what's wrong. What he brought up is the terms of service, like conditions for participating in a platform, which is controlled by a central authority, right? In this case, like Twitter, the board of directors of Twitter, or the engineering team.
And those terms and service change like per platform.
Yeah. And so when you choose to use those platforms, you need to you're deciding to go along with those terms and conditions. If you want to not be, you have to follow those terms and conditions because that's the platform. I mean, people are talking about creating alternative platforms where you're not censored, right? But we're gonna see how that goes. I'm sort of interested to see where that goes. Creating censorship-less platforms. And seeing how popular they get,
aren't there like a lot of like low key platforms right now where like they're just like breeding grounds for like super alt right and like KKK fucking like white supremacist shit like wasn't like pages like 4chan like that, and now there's like just a bunch of other pages that start off like that, and it's like nothing good comes of it.
I don't know enough. I think you're right about 4chan. I think 4chan is one of those platforms where you
like
can't
they become toxic, right? Like,
yeah, I'm not sure though. I haven't participated in 4chan.
Yeah,
I guess the one problem with that could be that if you're a business and you're trying to run a platform and trying to make money off of the platform, that if you're having a lot of like toxic shit being thrown around, like racist shit, white nationalist shit, your sponsors, your investors may not like that. And so then it doesn't necessarily work out. And not only that, like you may just alienate a large portion of the market if you're so there's economic incentives to have a terms of service. Make sure that your platform doesn't become something unusable.
Yeah, for sure. And then they could just cancel the whole platform, right? Be like, oh, look, like you're allowing like this kind of like atmosphere to happen, or these kind of communities to live on your platform, and we're just not gonna be on your platform at all anymore.
Yeah. You're effectively canceling the platform, right, by not participating in it, or if enough people don't participate on it. In it. And then that's also separate from like the government coming in and banning these platforms or certain individuals. None of that is happening. And when we talk about free speech, we're talking about like what the Constitution says, that the government can't come in and censor people. And the government is not coming in and censoring anybody. These are private
These are
corporations.
private companies, yeah.
Yeah, that are doing it. So I think they're getting. When you talk about freedom of speech, you got to be like, what do you mean by freedom of speech? Where does that come from? What does it mean?
Yeah, 100%.
America is becoming less and less safe.
I'll leave this to you guys.
So I have a lot of friends that have been in the military for the last 20 years because they refused to get vaccinated. They told me that they would be dishonorably discharged or kicked out of the military. I just believe we're losing a lot of good servicemen with the current situation that we're in right now.
A lot of police officers.
What? So hold on. So that makes America less safe? It makes America less safe to get rid of people in the military who are not getting vaccinated?
Because you're reducing the size of the military? Is that his point? The military is huge. It's the largest military in the world.
I don't fucking know, dude. I'm trying to... It hurt my head right now trying to make a connection, and I'm like, fuck, dude. I don't know. I can't. Because he didn't even explain it, right? He just like said something, but he didn't say like, and therefore we'll have less service members. Like, I don't know. Like, what war does he think that is going on that we need all of our military right now? Like, or ever, like in the last fucking 50 years.
Yeah, I don't think the percentage of soldiers that are not getting vaccinated and fired, I don't know about the numbers exactly, but I'm pretty sure they're tiny.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure most military members are getting vaccinated. And even if it was true, what exactly, like you said, what war are we fighting right now?
Yeah. Weird take.
Crime is up all over. When police aren't there, we're murdering each other at a really high rate. Police are in those neighborhoods because the homicide rate is high. Y'all can run around talking about police all you want, but I check.
When police aren't there, we're murdering each other at a high rate. Isn't like police are not there in places like that are fucking rich?
Yeah, that's an argument that I've heard, that over policing happens in low income neighborhoods, and high income neighborhoods there's very few police.
Yeah, so what he said was completely like contradictory.
Challenge any of these liberal kids to spend 2 weeks in the environment I grew up in, and I promise your perspective will change.
The one advantage we have about being older, we've been through a threat or two, and our enemies, like China, the Communist Party in China, they're laughing at us. Russia's like, we don't need to do much. They're gonna screw it up on their own. We need to get the help of our younger people that haven't been through a threat before to realize a lot of what's going on is not good. My name is Mike. I'm 59 years old, and I'm a conservative parent. Growing up during the 1980s, that was a huge influence on me, and it formed my views, and the people that I was around is the reason why I'm a conservative parent. I think America should be more middle of the road and not be necessarily more liberal, and if anything, it should be a hint more on the conservative side, because we're going to watch our freedoms get extinguished or encroached if we don't guard those freedoms and make sure that all of our children have a chance to succeed.
Can the disagreeers step forward?
I actually wished I came up here for the agreeing section because I think I interpreted the definition of safety the same way that you guys did, but after hearing your guys' conversation, I started thinking about how our American people aren't safe in the face of imminent climate disasters that are coming our way, and how we don't have the infrastructure to deal with that.
Facts.
I actually very much agree with that, because I think we need to define what we mean by we're less safe now. Do we mean there's more homicides after COVID, or what do we mean?
I would say before we got rid of half our military, half our police force, slavery was legal. The Holocaust was legal. So we can look at...
When did we do this?
Yeah, we haven't done this yet.
When did we get rid of half our military and half our police force? Somebody
he's saying, before we do it, and that we're about to do it.
Oh my god!
He's afraid that we're gonna, get rid of it.
No, this guy is on some other shit. We would never do that.
at all of these mass atrocities and say we're doing what's right. Everybody who was a part of the Holocaust government, they were doing what Hitler said. They were doing what was right. So everybody losing their job for not getting vaxxed, and all the vax people, you got who can we control? Everybody who get the shot, that's who gonna do what we say. The enemies are coming, and we don't care about that because we wanna care about what color we should wear and pride and critical race theory. It's like no one else cares about that but us in America. That's our problem.
So this is hella false because no matter how many vaccines I get or booster shots I get, like if I have to go protest my government, I will. Like,
yeah, I think it's interesting that they consider, or that parent, right, the one that was on earlier, he considers conservatism to be like a large military, or at least, you know, like conservatives usually consider conservatism to have a large military.
Strong military, right?
Yeah, and then conservatism means like conserving the values of the past. But if you look at the history of the U.S., the founding fathers thought that we should never have a standing army, that we should only raise an army when we are at war, right, or we're about to go to war. And we've had a standing army, like the largest army in the world since World War II, right, for almost 70 years.
Yeah.
And so if we're talking about conservative values, then if we go back to the founding fathers, they would not be in agreement with having massive military spending.
If you fucking think about it, they also wouldn't give a fuck about values, right? Because like fucking like they were like fuck off to, you know, the British and fucking Europe, right? So they're like, we don't give a fuck about where we came from. We're trying to start some new shit, right?
Yeah, they were very revolutionary, very liberal, if you were to say, like not conservative.
Yeah, exactly.
From their perspective, from their standpoint.
They're like, we're gonna do it our way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So you think that talking about sexual orientation and all that kind of stuff takes away from the safety of our country?
Who you sleep with has no merit in the real world. What does it matter?
Okay, let's just broaden the scope. With the
but it matters so much that you want to make laws against fucking same-sex marriage, though, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter, but it matters.
Take weeks for us as a country.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was wondering. I wonder what the black conservative thinks about gay marriage. It doesn't seem like he was.
In the scope, with the coronavirus pandemic, why did it take weeks for us as a country to mobilize together to fight the public health crisis that was already affecting the nation?
It was a scam to get Donald Trump out of office.
It's all God.
My opinion.
I agree with you.
I don't think that we could create, or the Democrats could create some international plan, getting all of these scientific communities outside of just the U.S. and even international governments on their side for something that they're just trying to get Trump out of office. I feel like that's heavily ridiculous.
Exactly. This would have to be like a world plan, right? To fucking be like, oh, you know, this is all the information that we're getting and we got to get Trump out of office. Like, it makes no sense.
No, I'm even surprised it came up right now. What the fuck?
Like, you know, not every fucking country has like invested fucking interest in fucking what we do necessarily, right? So it's like, think, you know, why would people are dying and they're trying to get the vaccine out, right? Like every country did it and they did it in their own way, but they did it, right?
Yeah.
Trump was the thorn that nobody saw coming, and they had to find a way to get him out of there. If there's no mail-in voting, 100% Trump is the president right now, 100%.
Yeah,
if there was no
overwhelmingly
mail-in voting,
ballots were to Biden, and that's obvious. Like,
exactly.
That's not because mail-in ballots are fraudulent. Because
remember, guys, if we would have taken your right to vote by mail.
What's cool about the U.S. electoral system is that every state can decide how their people are going to vote, right? It's not a federally controlled system, the election, the election for the president.
Mm-hmm.
Each state decides whether they're going to do vote by mail or not, and a lot of states decided to do that because of the pandemic.
Right. And it would have been, it's the right thing to do, right? Instead of having fucking people wait in lines to vote during fucking COVID. Yeah, send in a ballot.
Mail-in ballots are actually not fraudulent at all. That this election was the safest election in recorded history.
There's a lot of videos you see people with fake ballots, so that's here and there. I'm not.
That's just hearsay from random people on TikTok. Are we really gonna take that as empirical evidence?
It's a personal opinion.
It's a personal opinion.
My name is Parker. I'm 19 and I'm a liberal. My sisters and I have.
This is like what I this is like the COVID people. I was like, oh, this is how I feel about it. I'm like, all right, well, if how you feel, Trump science.
Facts don't care about your feelings.
Not at all.
Ben Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro quote right there. The one thing he's ever said that's good, but he doesn't live by it. Yep. These teens are doing well though, huh?
His what?
These teens, these kids, they're pretty
Oh yeah, they're funding their.
They're bright as fuck.
Yeah.
Become a lot more liberal, a lot more left-leaning over time while my parents have stayed a bit conservative. Before, when I was a conservative, I kind of just went off a lot of the indoctrination and propaganda that was spread to me when I was a kid. I grew up on the fact that, oh, we shouldn't have increased taxes because taxes are just negatively affecting us. Personal responsibility isn't what a lot of the decisions people make in society is based on. It's mainly based upon their environments, how they're socialized by their parents, people around them, things like that.
My news source is more reliable than the other sides.
Hell yeah.
When I
Really?
look at conservative news, I see a lot of conspiracies that I don't necessarily agree with. And so if everything comes from opinion and just people developing their own ideas, it just doesn't seem reliable to me.
I feel like the only way we can get unbiased news is in order for news media organizations to stop prioritizing having really vivid headlines that might not necessarily be 100% accurate.
I think that starts with putting people over profit. They want the biggest story or whatever, and they don't want to actually give the news that would be beneficial to our everyday average Americans. And I think that if we put a lot more focus on putting people first instead of the big news or the big story, we can change that aspect of society.
I agree with you 100%. Like I say the civil rights movement is the civil rights entertainment industry because it's so profitable. Put a police shooting on TV, it's breaking news. Every headline is on every social media. You're selling shirts, you're selling signs. That's so much more profitable than showing me and you shaking hands. The news media is literally capitalizing off the emotions of society. No matter how you feel about it.
What the fuck would be newsworthy of you and a fucking white dude shaking hands?
I think what he's trying to say is
I don't know, yeah, but just so stupid, dude, the way you said it.
Yeah, he's trying to say that sensationalism is what sells.
Yeah.
And then the other guy is saying, yeah, profits are what are driving the way the media, the mainstream media pushes, or any media, right, pushes their message. And it seems like they're agreeing. I think they're on the same page.
So how many people do you think now, because I remember this used to be like I could see this being a problem way back then, not way back then, but right before the internet. And I understand that not everyone is on the internet anymore, right? Or I mean, yet, like there's still like older folks that are never gonna get on it. Like people like my mom, like she's never gonna get on the internet, right? It's just too late for her. And there's other people still like that, right? But at this point, if you're young enough and you got a phone and you're hip, and if you're just if you're with it, right? You know how to fucking look shit up, right? So at this point, you should already be like, damn, dude, the news is bullshit. I'm not gonna watch the news anymore. I'm gonna go to my own independent sources, the way that like kind of like you and I have done, right? Like we listen to fucking like a bunch of other YouTubers that kind of just sit there and talk about the shit, but they're not like, dun 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 dun, breaking fucking news, 6 people dead and fucking blah 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 blah. And then like the news is what, like an hour every day, like maybe on each channel, like, and they're not covering anything of importance, right? So it's like, I don't want to watch that anymore, right? It's like death, car accident, maybe like a good fucking deed here and there, some fucking animal story, and then that's it.
Yeah. But then the problem, too, is that even for people who go online to look up their information, like I know people that will do that, right? They're our age, but they will go watch Ben Shapiro or any conservative, right-winger on YouTube. So I think there's a larger problem with even on YouTube. You have to, in order to get views, your thumbnail has to stand out. It has to pop, and the headline has to pop. And so there's overall just everywhere.
But that's what, yeah. But like, when do you come into play, like your personal responsibility, and be like, dick, like, why am I fucking still clicking on this clickbaity shit? right?
Yeah.
Like I don't fucking do that. Like I just look at a video and be like, what is this about? I don't want to watch that. Or what is this
That's
about?
true,
I don't
yeah.
want to watch that.
That involves being able to reference multiple news sources and using something like the scientific method to like eliminate things that are improbable, and doing some analysis on that. Maybe most people are not trained in that, or not do that.
Cause like I remember like when I really got into like the whole YouTube debate shit, I would fucking, if I saw a fucking title that said like, oh, so like Ben Shapiro owned or dunked on or whatever, they were using all these terms like for debate like Chad shit. They were like I would click on it like, oh, let me see what the fuck happened, And now it's like I don't give a fuck. I'd rather just see these fools have like a long ass discussion instead of like these little bits like that are got yas, or fucking owns.
That's long form discussions.
So yeah, if you're not watching long form discussions, then you don't really know. Like you're just taking little bits here and there, right? And a lot of people still do that actually. Like they'll come after streamers and be like, oh, you said this and this and that, and they're like, dude, like that was like in the context of fucking an hour discussion that we were having. Like, did you listen to anything we were saying prior or after, Like, all right, let's go back to this.
Handle any of your privacy in your house. Why? Because if you can do it on camera, somebody's gonna make $1 off of it, and that's not fair to you.
Young people today are too sensitive.
So I think it's a good thing that young people are sensitive. I think today they can be more sensitive than what they probably could have been 30 or 40 years ago. The growing up was the Berlin crisis, the Cuban Missile Crisis. I mean, we had the threat of annihilation, staring at us several times. And a lot of times I go, thank God John Kennedy handled it.
The country has been...
How bad was the Cuban Missile Crisis?
Yeah, it could have been pretty. It didn't explode, but it could have been really bad. We almost went to nuclear war, or that was the threat, right? That we would go to nuclear war with Russia over it. I think it was a pretty big deal.
Yeah. Okay. All right, old man.
Boiled for so long. They're trying to make it so a man can't be a man, and if you don't let men be men, then things start crumbling. Society crumbles, families crumble, and broken homes start happening.
And kids need their fathers. So 36% of kids don't have a father. So every boy is, well, my mom is mad at me, my dad don't love me, my dad don't care about me. Maybe I should be gay, maybe I should be trans, I don't know who I am. Your father puts confidence in you. No disrespect.
Dude, what does this take?
So I'm thinking of the fact that every generation always talks shit on the new generation, saying that they're like to this, they're to that, things are changing.
Yeah.
And this always happens. Eventually the culture just changes and these people will be gone, right?
This is why I kind of wanted to see this, right? Because it's like teens, right? Like liberal teens. And it's like, damn, like how far are we now? Like me at my age, 35. How far am I from a liberal teen now, Like from when I was growing up. And am I now one of those dudes that are like, man, like everything that the kids are doing now is stupid or it's whack, like,
Could one day maybe that will be you. You'll be like, what the fuck are these kids
But I hear people my age already saying that about the youth.
People your age are saying that the youth are...
That the youth is fucking whack, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and every generation is going to say that. I don't think that's any...
I just always try to remind people that it's like, dude, like, we grew up watching fucking Jackass and thinking that shit was hilarious and still think it's hilarious. So I don't really know how much we could judge these kids.
Respect anybody, but the younger generation of men are soft. And if we had to go to war, they're not protecting America.
Nope.
There's no better person as a black individual or whatever you are.
Not wanting to protect America in war is not being soft. First of all, it's fucking not wanting to fucking go to war, period.
In America. Go to the Middle East right now and say you gay or you trans and see how they treat you. Johnny,
Johnny.
32 years old, and I am a conservative parent. My grandfather was a no-excuse individual. He grew up in the Jim Crow South, but he worked hard. The house that he bought is still in our family today. He had a garden in his backyard. If you step past a certain line, he got on you. So to watch the men before me who really could have been lynched for stepping out of line, who really could have went through a hardship for not doing what society said, the worst thing that can happen to me is I get a mean tweet or a dislike. So I gotta fully embrace who I am, and I know I can create anything with my 2 hands and feet.
You see his rating for his news sources?
I'm a liberal. I really want.
It was mostly unfactual, right?
It could be sensationalized.
Sensationalized. Wow. So yeah, he's one of those dudes that just having like comment wars in the comment section with people on conservative.
I wonder how they rated that. Like, what was the metric they used to rate their news sources?
You think they maybe asked them like for their social media, and then they kind of looked through it?
Like listed the top 10 sources that they look at, and then evaluate each source.
Yeah.
Because you can't do that, right? You can say that TYT, even though they're leftists, right? But they do a lot of opinion stuff, and so then they're not as like straightforward facts. Like, let's say, I don't know, the Associated Press or other like more news sources that don't espouse opinion, right? That just espouse facts.
I mean, it's hard to even find one. I don't think there is one.
Yeah, there isn't. It's hard
like,
to find.
Can't even find one.
There's a graph though that I've seen that's really cool. That
like Al Jazeera, isn't Al Jazeera a good one?
Al Jazeera, I think, is pretty good. Yeah, they have their perspective, right? Because they're from the Middle East.
Wow. Yeah.
But I think it's pretty good. There's also like Telesur is a South American based news source. They're kind of like Al Jazeera, but for the global South or for South America. Interesting stuff out there. But I'll find that graph and I'll.
Want equality for all, and the liberal policies that have been passed side more with my values of equality for those who are on the LGBTQ, those who are on the gender spectrum. Something about conservative parents that I don't.
Bro, she's high factuality. Most news sources are reliable. What did she listen to? Tell us.
Oh, look, examine your own news sources. Take the quiz in the description.
Oh, bet. But I don't even like really get news from real news sources. That's what's good. I watch other fools like talk about other news sources. Dude, this
many news sources mostly left.
57% left. And then what is green? What is gray? Just
it might be neutral.
Neutral or neutral. Like independent or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. No, not independent.
Neutral.
They maybe more like what I was talking about, where they just talk facts. They do less.
Okay.
Like opinion.
Got it.
Or, like Fox will not only talk about the news, but like give recommendations about or criticize the government or groups or give more opinions, right?
Opinion.
Kind of like what we're doing right now.
Yeah, got it. She's pretty good though. To be high factuality, she ain't full of shit. She knows what's up.
Like is whenever I come across them, they seem to be very rooted in their ways and not willing to listen to someone who's a teenager like me. They think more like, oh, because I'm older, I have more knowledge, which is not necessarily always the case.
Can we have the disagreeer step forward?
This idea that because men are being raised by women that they're weaker is, in my opinion, completely false.
Facts.
Our generation, it's not more sensitive, we're more aware of all these things. Being transgender and gay is not something that should be ashamed of or make you feel less. In today's society, that is why women are fighting for equality, because this idea that because they only have a mom, they're weaker, or because, they're more sensitive, that's, in my opinion, completely false.
And I would say in the environment that I grew up in, the teen pregnancies come from girls without fathers. The homicides come from people without fathers. Every girl that I know, if they grow up with a daddy, they get married before they have a kid.
Why do they not have fathers?
If you want me to be real, because a lot of women make bad choices on the men they procreate with. If you make a bad choice, that's your responsibility.
Wow.
Every bad thing that I did in my life, it was on my daddy.
Wait. Where's the responsibility of the father to fucking stay in the kid's life? Dude.
This guy's a little.
This guy's a wackadoo.
When my dad was out and I had my dad's reassurance, I was a better person.
I had one daughter that had to move across the country to get rid of a toxic relationship with somebody that was harming them.
Why does the woman have to move across the country because the man is being toxic? Why can't the man be taught, don't be toxic?
Get him.
Oh, I agree.
Women nowadays have to deal with
You
those
have to
kinds
agree.
of relationships. The women, the mother knows better, I would say, than the father about that.
We're not more sensitive, there's just more opportunities for us to be sensitive. You can say like 15, 20 years ago, there weren't videos of black men being shot by police all over the internet. Now that that's there, people are more inclined to feel a certain way or take a stance on that topic.
Do you think it would be more beneficial to show police also interacting with white guys? Because more white guys get killed than black guys by cops.
If you look at the amount of white people and the amount of black people,
So this is the not understanding the percentage, right?
Maybe he's talking. I haven't looked at the numbers in a while, but I think what he's saying is that raw numbers, more white people are killed.
Of course.
But that's because there's more white people in the country.
Yeah, I think she's about to hit him with that, actually. Let's see.
there are going to be more white people killed because there are more white people in
Hey!
America. The percentage of black people that are being killed is higher than the percentage of white people.
Math,
Just
motherfucker.
because you're pulled over doesn't mean you have to resist. I mean, they don't just kill you when they pull you over. It's all about based on how you perform as an individual. I've been pulled over and never had a bad interaction in my life. When I was rude, I got snatched out the car. Everything is a personal.
When he was rude, he got snatched. So he was
He said, I've never had a bad interaction with police in my life. When I was rude, I got snatched out the car.
Sounds like a bad interaction. Getting manhandled.
Dog, this was like fucking, he's like the fucking Chappelle skit with fucking, what's his name? With fucking, damn it. Stupid faded brain.
Look it up and send it to me later.
Oh my god, dude. Now I have to think about it. Who the famous guy with the fucking curly with the Jerry curl?
Oh, I don't know.
All right, I have to edit that out.
The choice. If you can't take accountability for your life, then you will forever be a slave.
That's not true. There are definitely issues on the side of policing. Black communities, majority POC communities are over-policed. There's larger patrols in black communities. There are police work longer hours in majority black communities. So there's an issue from the policing side as well.
Get him.
Politics has damaged my relationship with a loved one.
Ooh.
Only two?
I'm sure you could relate to this as well, but in the Asian community, there's a lot of anti-blackness, so.
And it wasn't the conservatives. You know why? Because conservatives don't really fucking believe the shit they believe in, so they won't burn a fucking bridge with their family over it.
With the advent of the Black Lives Matter movement this past year, having conversations with my parents was really difficult, especially around the nuances of racial justice and sort of like what the movement was fighting for and how to articulate that in like the very closed mindset that my parents had.
A lot of my family voted for Trump in the past election, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't like to say this, but it made me view their morals a little bit differently, and they're willing to adapt and change was so different, and I was just like shocked because I wanted to understand their side and really talk about it, and I was met with, you're wrong, and we don't want to talk about it, and that kind of really damaged just kind of the way I looked at them.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I also think that it just made me less willing to expend the energy to have political or like just like any like hard conversations with my parents or anyone else in my family.
Hell yeah. And this is what I mean. What I meant by that. It's like, if you're talking to like these kids, right, they really fucking care about what they believe in, right? Like so much fucking like especially being young, like you're willing to go to war for whatever the fuck you believe in, right? So they're like, dude, fuck that. Like, if my parents feel this way or whatever, like I'm just gonna fucking like shut down and not talk to them or whatever. With these conservatives, like they'll fucking like believe in what their party fucking believes in, which a lot of it is like, being fucking anti-gay, fucking, being racist, all that shit, and they'll be like, well, I'm not racist, but they'll go ahead and still be part of that party, and then say, oh, well, I got black friends, or I got gay friends, or whatever. So like, well, then you don't really fucking believe in the shit you're talking about. You're just out here fucking, LARPing. Like,
yeah.
My name is Rithwick. I'm 18 years old and I'm a liberal. I grew up in a low-income immigrant household, and I think the systems that are in place right now aren't sufficient enough to support people, Americans like myself or my family. Because my parents were immigrants, I think they were liberal on issues like immigration.
75% left, but not fully factual.
Not fully factual.
And things that directly affected them. I'd like to ask to the conservative parents why they don't necessarily listen or adapt their own beliefs, whether political or social, based on the conversations they have with their children, and why they're so set in their ways.
That fool's got tiger parents.
I read a lot of the tragic stories where family members don't talk to each other anymore. Personally, I think that's sad. Do all my family members vote the same? No. Do we have a pretty good idea of how family members may have voted? Yeah. But we went more of agree to disagree. I'm not going to not buy you a present for Christmas because, you decided to vote for somebody that I don't like. Give me a break. Families are special. And we've got too many people, as you've talked about, that don't have them.
When I took this prompt, I kind of...
Families are what you make them, I think. There's people out there with some fucked up ass families.
That's true.
took it more of like my view of the person changed differently because, not because of the way they voted, but because some of their values to me were, like he said, moral values, and that shows kind of part of their characters.
Would you say that morality is subjective to each individual person though? Or would you say morals are the same across the board?
The basic is human equality for all. And so if you don't believe that somebody should have an equality based on their gender, their sexual orientation, or their race, or anything like that, that's a moral problem in my eyes.
That's a huge thing with the trans and the gay and the LGBTQ and all that whole thing. So I grew up LDS, being Utah County, it's like 95% Mormon. At 8 years old is when you get baptized.
Mormon.
And so if you're raised around where 95% of people think the exact same way, I feel like that's too young of an age where you're a child and you don't really know what you're doing. And so where I have a problem with the trans or these different things is they're getting kids at like 10, 12 years old and they're pushing them down that path.
Who's they?
Thank you.
Who's pushing, who's indoctrinating these kids into becoming LGBT?
Tell 'em, Parker.
Et cetera.
There's a lot of groups out there.
A
I
lot?
just heard that there's groups out there. I don't know. You don't know there's groups out there that do that?
No.
Yeah, he can't. He doesn't know.
Look, dude, you can't say, and this is something that I've come across with a lot of people, bro, and online debates and in person too. They'll be like, bro, this is happening. Oh yeah? Where? Bro, all over the place. Name one. I just heard. Like, bro, how? Like, it didn't even take that much pushback, right? Because he didn't know what the fuck he was talking about.
Yeah, this does come up a lot.
And
then, yeah, it does come up. Like the fact that they can't pinpoint where it's coming from or why it's happening. So it's an issue with their argument.
That's crazy, dude. Because he said it with such fucking like this is like I'm saying, like if there's no pushback, right? If like these kids were like fucking pushovers and they just believe whatever, they would have he could have got away with that. But this fucking teen is fucking knows what's up, and he's like, bro, what groups, where, name one, and he couldn't fucking do it. So that's, oh my god, dude. Like people like that is like, dude, why? You're making shit up for what? For what purpose? Like, just for something that like you want to believe something like so bad that's not true that you're just making up. I don't know, dude. It makes no sense.
you're a straight man. So I think it's weird for you to comment on the queer experience and what that's like for someone growing up who's struggling with those experiences. The way you're describing it as indoctrination, people who are figuring out their sexualities and their queer identities aren't necessarily going to ascribe to the first labels that are put before them.
If I'm not mistaken, the brain isn't fully developed until you're 25 years old, correct?
Yeah, correct.
So I know how I used to think at 16. Man, I know how I used to think at 21. Man, I'm not against kids doing whatever they want. It's just the older you get, you change. I got my first.
How come he stopped there? Why did he be like, hey, I know how I think now. God damn.
Tattoo at 15. I'm covered now. If I was a little older, I probably would have waited. When you're young, you're not thinking. And everybody has made a bad choice.
These kids are
because
thinking.
You're stressed out, you go change your gender. Because you want to try something new. Once you do it, you can't go back. The more you throw stuff at kids before they develop, that's indoctrination. Because you're trying to get them while they're not fully cognizant to know what's going on.
The older you get,
This guy thinks that like the way you become trans or gay is like if you're stressed out. Or like what the fuck is up with that? That's like the second time he brings that shit up. Like if you don't have a father, you're gonna fucking turn gay or trans or what the fuck? Like, dude, that's not how.
And that's not true.
The fuck's wrong with you?
the more conservative you become.
The older you get, the more conservative you become.
When I got older and I had kids and I had a family, I actually started reading policies. Everything about me changed when I became a father because I had a reason to. And I'm sure you would agree with that.
Yeah. As I've gotten older and the environment we're in right now, I feel like they're trying to cancel the Constitution. They're trying to cancel Christianity.
Who's trying to
Most
cancel
teenagers are
Christianity?
living.
What?
I was living when I was
What
10.
did he say?
It's fun.
Gio, help.
They will cancel the Constitution, cancel Christianity.
What does
I
it
would be in
mean?
favor. I would be in favor of canceling Christianity.
Yeah, but who's trying to do this? Like
Nobody's trying to do. We are seeing a drop in religiosity in the U.S.
Yeah, like more and more people are becoming agnostic, right, or just non-religious.
Yeah, but there's nobody trying to do that. It's just happening because we have access to more information now.
And I don't know who's trying to cancel the Constitution, but I don't. This needs to be said to all these fucking conservatives because they're fucking dumb as shit. But the Constitution is a fucking ever-changing document.
Mm-hmm.
So, go ahead.
And you could say that conservatives are the one. Well, it's both Democrats and Republicans, but who was the one that what president was the one that brought in the Patriot Act or the illegal spying of Americans?
Yep,
right.
George W.
Yeah, it was George W. Bush, a conservative.
Right. And those were huge infringements on people's fucking privacy and fucking, just on all kinds of infringement on people's rights. And they didn't say a damn thing about it because it had a fucking cool name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and people were scared too.
Yeah, completely scared of fucking
terrorists.
Yeah, 100%.
Culture is liberal. So when you're younger, you're going to be a part of culture.
Right.
When you're older, you're trying to raise your family. You don't have a time to care about what LeBron James said or who did that. Just when you mature, you value what's around you.
Oh, here we go.
My name's Sean. I'm 36 years old, and I'm a conservative parent. My dad's kind of my idol. I've seen him basically.
Bro, his shit should just be like angels and halos everywhere. Like, this is where I get my news.
From the Bible, he gets news.
Fucking, yeah.
He
should grow wings right now, dude. Like, he should fucking look like Archangel.
Very successful life, and seeing how simple he's lived his life through prayer and through just basic conservative principles. Being raised up LDS or Mormon, I saw a lot of just judgment, and so I don't necessarily believe that.
Damn, how are you 100% right?
100% right.
How?
It's all lean right.
How, dude?
Mixed. High factuality.
I didn't think this would be possible, dude. Holy shit, dude. Not even the teens were this close to being 100. I think the most was who that Indian kid was at 75.
Mm-hmm.
This dude's at 100. This guy's MAGA. It wasn't an insurrection.
believe in prayer. I've been all across the board as far as the way my life has gone. And
no, you've been only on
at
the
my
right
happiest
side of the
times,
board,
I've
dude.
lived by conservative values.
At your happiest
Building off of what
times?
you're saying about like teenagers, we're a different generation, and so we view the world differently. And I think that's probably why you've seen more teenagers be liberal, because we just view the world that way. But I don't think it has anything to do with.
No, my generation, I was liberal too when I was a teenager, and all my friends were too. And when you're a teenager, life is fun. It's just totally, you kick it, you party. So that's what I'm saying. I get the teenage. As you grow, you either can run away from responsibility or embrace responsibility. When there's real things going on, you start looking at life a little different. Versus when I was young, I didn't know about that. I didn't know about corporate gains tax, and I didn't know about my stock account, and I didn't know that I can, all these things that I didn't know when I was a kid.
So when people are generally talking about taxing the rich more, they're talking about the top 400 billionaires that are literally paying a lower effective tax rate in taxes than the middle class.
Get
the
'em,
top
Parker.
400 billionaires paying an effective tax rate of 8%, that's obviously not a fair share.
Get
I
'em.
think obviously everyone can agree here that they should be paying at least a fair share, right?
How do you increase taxes on someone's assets, though? Most
Oh,
of those billionaires aren't.
Unrealized capital gains is how they're specifically trying to do it now, but it would be through long-term capital gains, because a lot of the people who are paying those taxes, they're paying capital gains tax rate. There's also tax loopholes that have been lobbied into Congress by big corporations and big businesses lobbying politicians to get whatever they want.
So if you get older and you work yourself off and you become a multimillionaire, you deserve to pay more because other people didn't work as hard as you?
But it's not because other people didn't work as hard as me, it's because we, as a society, want to give everyone access to things like basic necessities like healthcare, education, have everyone have an equal opportunity. We don't have that right now.
You can have equal opportunity of a baseline, but the outcome would still be different because every individual is going to work different levels,
Well,
correct?
obviously, yeah.
Right, so I think
That's
that's where we are
fine,
as a society. I was able to pull it off. I graduated high school with a 1.9 GPA. I don't have a college degree. So the only limits are the limits you place on yourself. That's just my perspective.
America is the best
Dude,
country.
I hate that shit. That's like that Joe Rogan shit, right? It's like, I fucking didn't have everything going up, but I was able to fucking do it and blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's first is anecdotal, and then
Yeah,
yeah, it's anecdotal because you like it's like selection bias, right? We're only hearing about you because you were one of the few that did get through. And what about everybody else that works around?
Yeah, because if you didn't fucking get through, then what the fuck would you be saying, right? Like, you wouldn't be saying the same shit. Like, oh man, you know what? I tried my hardest and it just never worked out. Like, nah, nobody fucking ever says that shit, right?
But we wouldn't hear from them because they wouldn't be on
Exactly.
in our attention.
in the world.
America is the best country in the world.
I think despite all of our challenges and problems, when you look at all the other countries of the world, everybody is still trying to come here.
The way I can talk out loud, the way I can feel myself, the way I can express myself fully as an individual. It ain't many places black men can go do that outside of America.
But what about
3 years
cancel
ago,
culture?
When I got into the court systems and the different rights taken away from me and government control and government power. And so when you have that stuff stripped away from you and you realize most other countries don't have the freedom that America has. America has been the greatest country ever, and I think it will continue because of a lot of good people that stand up for the right things.
I think I would like to ask the question, what is America the best at?
I think we
Hey,
just was talking about the freedoms that we have here versus what they don't have in other countries.
So what about places in Scandinavia that actually have higher amounts of freedom?
get 'em,
They
Parker.
have better democracies than we do here, higher quality of life, higher median income. They have healthcare systems that are more efficient, that take care of everyone in their population, more access to education.
When you look at the
Parker.
big picture, everybody wants to come here. Millions of people are not trying to get into Scandinavia
Why?
because we have more opportunity than any other place in the world.
We don't even make the top 25 in women equality.
But we have a better opportunity to do something about it compared to other countries. And I would love it for Europe to open their borders the way we have and see if you can get people from.
Gio, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, a better opportunity, but then we're not doing it. So then, why are these countries like doing a better job at it?
Right. So these other countries that I mean, what was even his argument that they don't have, that we have more? I don't know. Yeah, he does it. We have more opportunity, but we're not even in the top 25. So that means that there's 24 other countries that are outperforming us and are making better decisions, I guess, with their government and their people.
So there isn't more opportunity
Right.
because it's not happening.
Unless, what opportunity is he talking about? Fucking just being able to say what you want. That's really all they can really say that you can't really do in some countries But in a lot of countries you can, so it's like not even a fucking thing, right? Like,
yeah. Most of Europe, you can say whatever you want. In Canada, you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, and people who knew shit, like I think very early on in high school, I knew that like the education system was fucking like I think even when I was in high school, we were like in like 17th or some bullshit like that in education, or like 14th, and I think now we gotta be way fucking lower. So it's like, yeah, what good are these opportunities if our fucking education system is fucking trash, right?
Other parts of the world to do mass migration to Europe.
I was going to mention Scandinavian countries as well, but I think it's also important to address that Scandinavian countries are very like homogenous, like racially, socioeconomically.
Didn't Europe take a bunch of refugees like fucking like a few years ago?
Yeah. Europe is like there is
like
a refugee,
millions.
like crisis coming out of the Middle East because of war and climate change.
So they know what it's like.
Yeah.
They don't face the same geographic diversity that we have. What you were mentioning with the fact that we have the opportunity to write with like women inequality, like why is that not happening? It's because the way our democracy is set up, our Congress is literally in a gridlock right now, as it has been for so many past sessions of Congress. We aren't getting anything productive done.
The opportunity we have here is incredible, and I'm very happy that I live here and not somewhere else, but we are so focused on, oh, America is the best, that we don't look at these other countries and say, why are all those people so happy, and what is that, and how can we incorporate that into our society?
I mean, I would say, like, I think diversity is good. I think diversity of thought, diversity of opinion, it's super helpful. It's really easy to get clogged up into this groupthink, so I don't expect anyone else to agree with me or feel the way I feel. I just expect you to respect my right to feel this way. I respect your right to feel this way, and we keep it moving.
100% agree. I couldn't agree more, actually.
I don't agree. I don't respect the fact that you believe shit that's not factual. Is this like a high fucking bar? Is this like some high standard? Like, it's the same with the COVID shit, right? Like when I asked if anybody wanted to come on and talk about the COVID who was anti-vax, one of my homies hit me up and he's like, yo, like I'm just anti-vax. Like I feel like a lot of the people that are vaxxed are getting sick. And I'm like, bro, if you look at the data, a lot of the people that are filling up the ICU are people who are not vaxxed. I can show you, and I showed him a study from Orange County where it was like 87% of people that are hospitalized are fucking unvaxxed, right? And then still was like, well, you know what, dog? I'll look at the information, but this is how I feel about it. And I'm like, no, I don't accept that as an answer. And I'm not trying to be a dick, but it's like, dude, you need anything that you believe in has to be rooted in fucking facts. It has to be before I can even respect your opinion. Even if you looked at the facts and then fucking came to a different conclusion, at least you're looking at the same facts.
Yeah. There's no reason to respect opinions. Opinions are, they're a lower standard than facts. If you can bring up facts, then I'll respect that more.
Exactly.
But your opinions can change day to day. Even my opinions can change day to day. So I don't have a reason to respect my own opinions. Why should I respect other people?
Exactly. And fucking people like, I mean, if you're like I know like you are and like me, like I'm constantly fucking trying to reevaluate myself to make sure that like I have the optimal, right? Like the optimal way of thinking, which is like you're never gonna know what it is, right? But the way you do know is if you continue to like talk to people that fucking have different opinions or like you think they have like better takes than you do, right? Like that's why I enjoy talking to you and Hector, because you guys are always gonna see things like in a different way. So but yeah, these people like conservatives, dude, I've yet to see one that tries to like play the game with fucking facts. Like it just never happens. So it's like, why should we even listen to these people? Why do they even have why do they even have like a party like filled with the same kind of people? Like all these Republicans are fucking trash, dude, and they believe the same thing that these fucking dudes believe, right? They're all the shit that these guys are repeating is stuff that you hear fucking like Tucker Carlson say, Ben Shapiro, like all of them say the same dumb shit.
Yeah, I can't think of a like. I'm sure they're out there, a conservative that just uses facts, but I haven't come across that. Like, like
I mean, you could go
taking
by the
facts.
voting, right? Like if you look at like the, let's say the $15 minimum wage fucking vote that we had, there was not one fucking Republican that voted yes for that, right? That means that all of those Republicans believe that we don't need a $15 minimum wage here, which factually is incorrect, isn't it?
Yeah, because of inflation and rising corporate incomes or profits, and so
Right. So then
you're
if they're
driving, yeah, you're
so
driving
if,
inequality because
yeah,
wages are stagnating.
right. So then if they're fucking voting off of incorrect facts, then you could, and they all voted that way, then you can fucking say that there's no fucking Republican like senator or person in Congress that believes like that plays with actual facts. They might know the facts, but they don't fucking play with them because they know that their party doesn't do that.
It's also about self-interest. Like, where's their money coming from? I'm talking about like the problem with money in politics, corporate donations to these politicians, that maybe they do see like the minimum wage as something that would benefit more people, but they're like, it's not going to benefit me, right? It's not my donors, and so then I'm not going to get elected.
Well, I think these teens were on it, man. They're fucking young. They're on it. They're definitely a lot sharper than I was when I was a teen. They're probably sharper than I am now. But I think they did a good job.
Yeah, I think that was pretty good.
Hell yeah. Cool. All right, man. Well, that was a reaction to Jubilee's liberal teens versus conservative parents. The segment is called Middle Ground. They have a bunch of these. Maybe we'll check out more of these. We'll see how it does in the algorithm. And we will definitely come back and do some more stuff for you guys. Once again, this is Discussion Lounge. Gio, thank you very much. Anything you want to say before we go?
No, yeah, we should start doing these again. This is pretty cool. This is pretty fun. I learned a few things about where conservatives are at. Because I tend not to follow conservative.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
All right, there you go. Well, yeah, you just saw three conservative dudes let you know where they're at now, and you can see it's not anywhere good. But yeah, man, thank you guys so much, man. Hit us up, like, subscribe, comment, get into the convo. Let us know if you want to be on the pod just to discuss stuff, and we'll have you on. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you guys again. Peace.
Peace.